Hi everyone, and thanks for clicking into the short interview with Sylvia from Corrymeela. Corrymeela is funded by the Community Relations Council. The groups that Community Relations Council support with funding have continued to connect with groups through this current crisis, demonstrating resilience and creativity, quickly moving to new ways of working and using online technologies. So Sylvia, Corrymeela are working hard during this pandemic to keep communities connected and engaged. Can you give us a quick insight into what you're doing during the crisis to keep communities connected?
Well, thank you, Paul, for this opportunity. For Corrymeela, it became very clear as COVID-19 unfolded that our work would change and we needed to embrace the stay-at-home, protect the NHS and the Save Lives strategy. Unfortunately, that has meant closing our Peace and Reconciliation Centre and furloughing some of our staff associated with hospitality, housekeeping and welcome. However, programme as in the projects that we deliver in the community still continue. So we now talk about working from the kitchen table, or for one person in the team it's the attic, but for each of us it is different. A newborn baby in the house, a 7-year-old who loves Lego and is missing his friends, a teenager whose maths is proving a challenge to his dad. So as we go through this, we're getting an insight into the everyday lives of our colleagues. A big thank you to our funders, particularly the CRC, who has given us the space and the support to reconfigure how we stay connected, because it's very important that we do, and how we continue to support and how Corrymeela works alongside the groups and the communities that we have those deep held connections and relationships with. So in terms of a quick insight into what Corrymeela is doing by way of programme, which is alive and well, I'm pleased to tell you. Like other organisations, we're adapting to Microsoft Teams, Zoom and other digital ways of communicating. We're exploring how we best host webinars, learning the do's and the don'ts, mindful of keeping it safe and confidential, and so that everybody's in a space that they can be safe in. But also we're actually mindful that not everyone has the technology to connect in this way. So we're on the phone, we're texting, we're making phone calls, we're using WhatsApp, and we're literally posting out information and materials for people to read at home. Right. Our marginalisation programme manager is particularly busy. Denise is working alongside those who've experienced deep-rooted trauma, and particularly through an anxious time like this, their anxiety is being reactivated or heightened during this pandemic. So through Zoom, Denise is co-facilitating wellbeing sessions, how to recognise and manage that anxiety and fear, and how important it is to be actively listening and being present at this time and alongside people.
Very good. That's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah. So, and again, ahead of this health crisis, we were very fortunate to receive funding for a gender-based violence project, and we hear of the increase in domestic violence as some people are not safe in their home. So we're particularly mindful of that, and we're looking at developing a training resource for clergy and church leaders to address violence against women in church congregations and in parishes across Northern Ireland and in the Republic of Ireland. So that's a cross-border project that we continue to engage with our partners, the Women's Aid Young Women's Christian Association in Ireland and Women's Aid in Northern Ireland. So we're using Zoom to stay connected with partners in order that we can deliver out on projects as restrictions begin to lift, and we are dealing with the trauma and aftermath of people being isolated in their homes, and for those, homes are not a safe place.
Yeah. No, Brilliant to hear all that. Despite the challenges that you face, what has worked particularly well for you that other groups might learn from?
Well, yesterday we used Zoom. Shona used Zoom to convene a transitions from violence to peace working group. So actually, by using that technology, we were able to connect with an international learning community. So I suppose what we have learned that we can use technology to pull in other experiences, such from Rwanda, Colombia, and the Yemen. So it's actually broadened our scope. It means we don't all have to meet face to face, that we can come together using this virtual technology. So we kicked off the series yesterday with Duncan Morrow and Johnny Byrne, and they looked at their recent review about countering the influence of paramilitary and organised crime in young people. So we're using it to be international in our work and to learn from others in this pandemic and to stay connected as well, which is very important.
Brilliant, Sylvia. Brilliant.
Also, we, as part of sharing our history, shaping our future, we hosted an online learning webinar seminar, which again was international. It involved educators and it looked at sharing effective practice, particularly around contested periods of history. So, what we have learned is about being a little bit braver about the technology, stepping into that space, being fun and creative with it. So another example is that we're looking at doing a virtual tour of Belfast City Cemetery as part of the Belfast in the World 1918-1921 project. So it's just, I suppose, small steps using technology, staying connected, be it with those that we work alongside, be it within an international learning community or a cohort of educators from across the world, but also, managing that sort of virtual tour of Belfast City Cemetery while obviously adhering to social distancing restrictions, etc.
Brilliant, Sylvia. There's a lot going on. Well, Sylvia, thank you very much indeed for your time. It's very much a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck and stay safe. And of course, listeners, you can keep up to date with the work of Corrymeela and what they're doing via their website and social media pages.